But when I got older, around 19 years old, I had this chance to move to Taiwan and work for a lithium ion battery factory. And I had the chance to work there for 6 months. That was probably one of the hardest decisions I've ever made in my life, because when you get that moment where you're like, what am I doing? I have no idea how to speak the language. I don't know anyone there, and you're just basically you're just present in this point in time. At that point in time, there was no there was no cell phones or anything like that, and very little emails. Yes, they had emails, but not intuitive like we have now with our iPhones and Gmails and stuff like that. So communication was a lot more difficult. And again, I didn't speak any other language, but when you first get down and you first touch down there, it was kind of like this idea of like, holy like, I am here. That was a culture shock more than anything. When you're with your parents, there's nothing too crazy about it, because you still have their safety and comfort there. You still have their money. You still have these things that are that you're used to survive. But when you're by yourself completely in a country that you really know no idea about, don't know how to speak the language, you really don't know anyone there. That's the culture shock in itself. When I arrived in Taiwan, I remember it was like maybe 11 o'clock at night, and it was like super super like dewy, and it was just dark, and I could you just get that smell when it first rained. It was that type of feeling. And I remember getting picked up and brought to the place that I was going to live for the next 6-7 months, and it was like a random apartment building, and it was trippy too, because when you first walk into the lobby, there was like this certain like humid, there's a humid feeling, but also there was like a lot of street food on the outside, so you can really smell all like the smells inside. So it was humid and a little bit of smelly, right? So it would just slaps you in the face when you first walk in, because you have no idea what have you just signed yourself into. What did we just sign ourselves into, right? So I remember going up the elevator, and I think there was a cockroach in the elevator the first day I was actually there. So that was like super rad, because I'm not really into cockroaches. I'm not a big person with bugs, but it was what it was. At that point in time, I wasn't even like afraid or icked out or anything like that, because I knew that I was in a completely different country where it's like you're playing by their rules now. You're no longer in control as much as you were, say, at home in your safety place or your comfort, right? So open the door. The door is like super super heavy, and it was this like triple bolted lock, but you can always hear like the big clunking locks each time, right? And it was something new to me too, because I'm not used to that. Also, I live in a house, right? But when we first walked in, and you just felt like, holy, this is basically like a Motel 6 hotel room, basically, right? It was just a small little couch, small little TV, the bed's over there, and then when you walk into the shower, it's not a normal shower. It was like an open concept shower, and all it had was one little like faucet that you can pull up and down and detach and use to wash and things like that. But that was it. So I showered for the first time, basically unprotected, by not protected at all with any types of glass or sheets or anything like that. I was just bare ass trying to figure out how this thing could get warmer, because it was actually a little cold. But that was the initial culture shock of me arriving to somewhere I had no idea about. I'm from Rhode Island. I'm not anywhere close to Taiwan, and it was something that I can still feel today, that little jolt in my nervous system. But yeah, so I was there, and it was probably one of the greatest decisions I've ever made, because for the next few months, I was able to really escape and experience things that I think would help me really meet people. That was really the idea, is going to this country and try to meet people more than anything. Like, I was able to see, okay, yeah, we didn't have internet back then. We didn't have any types of, we had internet, but we didn't have like, we weren't on our computers all the time. We weren't on our phones all the time, right? So the only thing that you could really do, and that I think is a human necessity, is to find people who you can communicate with. because if you can communicate with people, you're able to kind of go under their wing, and you guys kind of help each other out, right? Like if I could find someone, or if you could find someone who can speak a little bit of English, just a little bit, that's a local, it can get you very, very far. We're talking like, I remember going to my first outing in Taiwan about 3 4 days after I arrived. It was my first like day at work type thing. So they took me out to get drinks. Like some of the workers took me out to get drinks, and yeah, they had a few people who spoke a little bit English. It was a lot of pointing, a lot of, the type of things where you can communicate a little bit, but you just know like you're not fully like you guys aren't fully there, right? So I met this kid. His name was Chris, and he was just sitting there by the bar by himself, and he kind of knew like I was obviously, he knew I was a foreigner, but he knew I was completely bombed at that point. So he basically started speaking to me, and I was like, "Oh my god, dude, you're gonna be my savior, aren't you?" Right? And that's how it all started. The level of comfort that I could travel anywhere and be able to walk amongst locals, just and be myself, because it's an even exchange basically, right? I'm trying to learn the culture. I'm trying to just get around, learn how to go to point A to point B, use the train stations, do all these type of things, right? But and they're trying to learn English, and they're trying to learn different culture, and they're trying to just take in what I have to bring, or what we have to bring, right? So it's an even exchange when you do travel, and it's something that you can transfer no matter where you go, even if you come back to the States. If you were able to go to different locations in the country, there are different people, there's different ways of communicating, different ways of how they operate, and why not try to learn that type of style, because you're able to kind of move amongst the world rather than just being just trying to find your comforts. You're just trying to just keep everything like you are in this other in the, where you live at home, right? So let's kind of go back to why I originally went in the first place. I was 19 years old, and I was super like, I don't know what the hell I was really gonna do, because I didn't go to college. I was basically just like, I don't want to go to college. It's not for me, right? So you had this idea of like, oh, all your other friends are going to college. They're experiencing what that life is about and what it's gonna be for them, and they'll probably end up having their jobs. And I didn't have that. I just had this feeling of like, I do not want to be in the system of learning. It wasn't my style, right? So I was talking to my dad, and my dad had connections in Taiwan where they were looking for someone who was willing to work for a very low, cheap price, but also bring information, knowledge, a style from a different country that can help the company a little bit, right? So that's kind of what we did. Was he offered me to go over there and experience this life of unknown. It's probably one of the most grateful things that I could. It's one of the biggest things in my life that I'm grateful for, was to be able to be so lucky to have this opportunity, to have an opportunity that I never really thought I would have. Like I would never think that someone would tell me, "Hey, there's an opportunity in Taiwan. You want to take it?" Like that doesn't happen, right? So I'm proud of myself that I was able to at least be brave and have the courage to be like, "Yeah, you know what? I know that I'm not happy here. I know all my friends are going to college, and I'm not. I don't want to go to college, so I'm not going to go." And I had another solution to figure out a way of learning, right? So that's kind of how I end up getting to that point of taking the leap of faith, being able to be like, hey, you know what? Let's do it. And I think when we are, especially growing up or like earlier, when you are say 20 years old, 19 years old, and you kind of don't know where you want to go, I think if you're able to put your awareness out there for opportunities like that, it could really, really benefit and open up your new world, open up a new world for you, because you're able to now take the leap of faith, do something completely different that your friends are definitely not doing really, and it gives you a chance to go somewhere and really be yourself, right? and try to find who you are as a person, because that's really what it is when you're in your early 20s. You're really just trying to figure out who you are as a person, what you do and don't like, and just kind of right. So that was why I got lucky to even go to Taiwan in the first place. That was the opportunity that I took. Let's see here. Yeah, so I mean the biggest walkaway that I came out of moving to Taiwan and then being able to go back and forth to Hong Kong. The biggest thing I got from moving from the biggest, what is it? The biggest, what the you call it when you, what do you call it when you get a epiphany out of something in a situation? Biggest takeaway? Oh, yeah, okay, we go. The biggest takeaway I got from moving to Asia and living in Taiwan for 6 months was that I was able to get my confidence. I was able to get my confidence. I was able to learn the things that I do and don't like. I was able to figure out ways of navigating through a place that I've never been before. Read maps, understand body language to be like, okay, these people are uncomfortable. Maybe I should try the people over there. Just learn about other people and how to be more of a person of the world rather than a person just for myself or what my parents or my family expected of me. You were able to explore different streets, different foods, different restaurants, different towns, and just be curious. I think one of the biggest things I learned from traveling to Taiwan was I'm a very curious person. You're able to see that curiosity did not kill the cat. It can kill the cat if it puts itself in a situation where there is more likelihood of that happening. But if you're curious to find the answer that you are needing at that point in time by trying to figure out how to get there with the tools that we have in this world, you will be able to find out how strong you are as a person and what skills you actually have and don't have. You may find that you have so many other tools that you don't even knew you had because of a situation that you don't get to experience that much. If you had the chance to move, if you had the chance to travel, the biggest takeaway that you can get from that is the hope that you'll be able to move forward in life knowing that you won't be trapped in the systems that has been created for us to fall into. Follow me for more.